Hi, this is Julianne and welcome to Life Edit and Design. Today we're talking about what you can put into your blank fall notebook. So if you have the fall notebook, I want to give you some ideas of what you could put into it just to make it a little bit different from maybe some of the other blank notebooks you have. So this fall notebook is a 5-subject notebook, so I'm going to give you some couple different ideas of what to use for each of those 5 tabs. So first off, you could make the entire book all about food, fun, recipes, things like that. So you could make one tab breakfast, one tab lunch, one tab dinner, because fall has its own entire cornucopia of food. I mean, that's when the root vegetables really come out, the squashes, the pumpkins, everything's pumpkin spice, right? You could have a whole tab just on pumpkin spice recipes if you wanted to make it really fun. So you could have a tab for breakfast, lunch, dinner, another tab for snacks and desserts, because that's all about fall, right? Making that great pumpkin or apple pie. And then you could have one that's just maybe on beverages. I do a lot with smoothies. I have 2 smoothies every day, and I'm about to have mine in a few minutes. And so you can switch up your whole recipes for the fall. Why not do that? So you could have a one tab just on recipes, and it could be maybe the mulled cider and things like that you might want to do. Even slow cooker, that's a fun way to do some of your recipes for beverages. So you could do a mulled cider in that if you wanted. So just think about maybe some different drinks that you want to do just for the fall. For me, fall is my absolute favorite time of year, so to celebrate it with different menus and different recipes is really the time to go. So in your blank notebook, there is a section just on there's a page just on recipe cards, so you can use the recipe cards to come up with all the different recipes for each of those tabs. So that's one way to use it, is a recipe book just for the fall. Another way to use the notebook is to make it more of a meal planner. So if you want to stick with the food theme, there is a grid page that is just a calendar grid. So you could be putting in your meals for the days, and then there's a different grid planner that's just for the week. So you could do your meals by the month or meals by the week. So you can have your weekly meals just in one tab. Another tab, you could have your recipes again. So you could do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so that you have things written down on the one tab, which is your meal plans for the weeks. And then in the next tab, you could have just the different recipes that you're referring to. One for breakfast, one tab for lunch, one tab for dinner. And then you could dedicate a whole tab if you wanted to just to Thanksgiving. And that could be a mishmash of pages, so you could have recipe cards in there just for some of the things you're going to make for Thanksgiving. But you could also maybe use the 2-column sheet for who's going to bring what. So if you have people bringing more of a potluck thing, you could use a checklist for all the to-dos that you have to do. You could have a different checklist for all the shopping that you have to do. So you could make one tab dedicated just to your Thanksgiving celebration. So that's another way to use those 5 tabs. So it would be your meal planning in one tab, breakfast tab, lunch tab, dinner tab for the recipes, and then one tab dedicated just to Thanksgiving. So that's just some ways you could use just it if you wanted to think about food in your 5-subject notebook. Another way that if you want to look at fall as a big picture is to have one tab be just your bucket list, your fall bucket list. What are you going to do this fall? That's one of my favorite things. I love to create bucket lists for the summer and bucket lists for the fall. They tend to be my big ones, and then I usually do a holiday bucket list. So putting up a fall bucket list, going apple picking, going to the corn maze, doing face painting, carving a pumpkin, all those kinds of things could be on your bucket list. Maybe people to visit that you have to kind of think about when you can get there, because it's pretty hard to travel right now. So one tab could be your bucket list. Another tab could be your calendar. So you can have a calendar. You can use that 12-month grid for each of the months of the fall and try to think about, what am I going to do where? What are some obligations? What are some events I have to do? If there's any traveling in your schedule, where would that fit? So you can have calendars in a tab just on that. You can have another calendar just for to-dos, so you can use that checklist and then put a bunch of to-dos in there. So just as you fill up a page, add a new page and put that in one tab. Another tab could just be shopping. So things you might have to get. So if you're like me, you've already thought about, I'd better do my holiday shopping early this year. So you could start a shopping list of, even if it's food items, you could do your grocery lists. You could have shopping lists as far as gift giving or supplies if you're going to be making gifts. I think this year I'm going to make a lot of essential oil gifts. So I want to start stocking up for the things that I'm going to need to make my essential oil gifts. And you can have one tab that's just for photos. So if you're out there doing your bucket list items and you've got your calendar for planning and you got your checklist all lined up, I would make that last tab, just a spot where you can stick photos. So you can use the blank notes page and just start dropping in photos. That's the good thing about GoodNotes, is it's easy. Just take photos right from your camera roll, drop them in, and now you have a really cool scrapbook. So you can keep this fall notebook and go back and look at it next year and go, what did I do last year? And here's all the memories and photos. And so you can really have some fun memorabilia to go back to. And if you want to stick with that, a whole nother way to use the planner, again, I'm trying to give you ideas for 5 tabs, is you can do it as a journal. So you take that picture idea and you put a whole page of all the pictures, the fall foliage you've checked out. If you're in upstate New York, you get to benefit from that because there's a lot of changing leaves. You got to catch them just right. But you can go out and take photos. And then you could have, like, say, 3 months of journaling. So you could have September, October, November. So that would be 3 tabs where you're just using the notes, the lined page, and you're just writing journals. You know, what did you do? What are some of the experiences? What are the things you love about fall? So you could really have different tabs, one for each month of just journaling. And then you could put, that last tab, kind of the insights. What did you learn about yourself this fall? So you may have been journaling along, taking some great photos, but I love to reflect, and I like to have that in its own spot. What are the big ahas for the season for you? What were the big insights? What did you notice that was different? I think, this year is a great time to capture because everything's been turned on its head, right? We're doing things so differently that it's great to reflect on, what's going to happen from September to November. I mean, your life is going to continue. I mean, we're changing at such a fast pace. So it'd be great to capture those insights as you look through your journals and you look through your pictures, kind of summarize some of the big things at the back of your book. And that would be a fun way to kind of end fall. So maybe after Thanksgiving, when everybody's resting on the couch, you sit there and flip back through your pages and kind of come up with what were some of my big ahas? What are some of the big things I either got to do or discovered or changed? And that might be a fun way. So that would be 5 tabs that you could use there. And then you could also use it as a planner if you wanted to. So again, you have your 3 months, so you can use that calendar grid, and then you could use the weekly grids if you wanted behind it. And you could do that for September, October, November, so that would give you 3 months. And then you could also play with, there's a dot grid layout in there. So if you want to do some bullet journaling, you can play with different bullet journaling layouts from week to week or month to month if you want. So it gives you a good chance to practice. So maybe for the month of September, you just want to play with bullet journaling and practice. And then the next month you want to use the grid system. And then the third month you kind of use a hybrid. That's a great way to use September, October, November. So that would be 3 months. And then you could have just a tab full of lists, all kinds of lists. So you can use the checklist page and be doing lists of shopping, again, lists of food, lists of menus, or lists of just things you want to do, checklists, again, going back to that bucket list or the to-do list. And then your last tab could be maybe there's a special project this fall that you really want to accomplish. So you want to have a gap page could be a hybrid of checklists and 2 columns. And here's this project I want to accomplish. Maybe you're starting to make your gifts, and so you want to start putting some things in there as to a project that you need to get or supplies you need to get. So those are just some fun ways to use your fall planner. I'll outline them quickly in the blog post that goes with this so that you don't have to keep going back and going, what did she say about that? So I'll have them listed in the blog post itself so you can kind of see. So I hope you got some great ideas. Run out, get your blank fall planner. Again, we have one in the shop. It's really cute. It's got the little girl thinking, reading a book. It's starting to get cozy. I mean, it's the time to get cozy now. I'm all for it, even though I'm in a sleeveless shirt right now because it's pretty hot while I'm recording. But fall is coming. I'm hopeful. I can't wait to see the leaves. It gives me a whole new energy. So I hope you're excited, and let's get ready to have a great fall. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.